Hi everybody. Those of you who know this part of the world, if I swing the phone around, not that way, try it that way, get my head out of the way, there we go. I recognise Clevedon Pier. So we're in Clevedon in Somerset, and this afternoon we're going on a very special boat trip. Do you want to tell us what boat trip that is, babe?
Okay, we're going on a paddle steamer, the Waverley, which I'm sure you'll fill us in on some facts about the Waverley.
No. No, I do know it's the only,
oldest?
I think it might be the oldest or even the only sea-going paddle steamer in the world.
So we're going to go.
You better fact check that one.
Okay.
But anyway,
we're going to get on it on the end of the pier, and it's going to cruise up to Portishead, I think, and pick up more passengers in Portishead, and then it's going to go under the two Severn Crossing bridges. Prince of Wales Bridge, I think that one.
The Prince of Wales Bridge, which is a new one, and the old one.
Then it turns around and
comes back again.
At about 7 o'clock tonight.
So it's a 5-hour trip. So we'll be taking some pictures and some video, and we'll share them with you in a sec. Paddle steamer Waverley is named after Sir Walter Scott's Waverley novels. The current ship was built in 1947 and replaced the original Waverley that was built in 1899 and was lost at Dunkirk in 1940. She is indeed the world's last sea-going paddle steamer. In 1974, at the end of her normal working life, she was famously gifted for £1 to the Paddle Steamer Preservation Society. The charity was specially created to enable the society to operate the Waverley in her second career as a major tourist attraction. She now graces the shorelines of the UK, bringing pleasure to everyone who's lucky enough to cruise on her. As the Waverley approaches the end of Clevedon Pier, you can see the helmsman dressed in white, high up on the port side of the bridge. I am guessing that this position is used purely when docking. It gives the helmsman a really good view of the side of the vessel and allows him to do the difficult task of manoeuvring into position. I have to say, having handled nothing greater than the narrowboat myself, I was really impressed. As Pip and I go on board, it's worth noting that we've only dropped one level below the pier in order to reach the gangplanks. Bear that in mind when we return 5 hours later. The Waverley goes astern to leave Portishead harbour, and I'm amazed yet again at the skill of the helmsman. Look how close she is to the wall. As we were queuing to come on board, we were talking to somebody who'd been on the Waverley before. He said that she was very, very stable, even in rough seas. He described her as beamish. The beam of a ship is its width, and as the Waverley has a paddle on either side, she's very wide indeed. This shot is taken in front of the starboard paddle, and you can see how the ship's starboard side bulges out to accommodate it. To put all of this into context, the Waverley is as wide as our old narrowboat, Frog in a Bucket, was long. The Prince of Wales Bridge, or the second Severn Crossing as it was known, was built to relieve traffic congestion on the original Severn Bridge. It was opened in 1996, having taken 4 years to build. It's just over 5 kilometres long. It's 34.5 metres wide and 137 metres tall. 320,000 cubic metres of concrete were used in its construction. An enormous enterprise. Having crossed the bridge many times by car, it was really great to get this new perspective. At the heart of the Waverley is her magnificent 2,100 horsepower triple expansion reciprocating steam engine. Today these steam engines are driven by 2 massive oil-fired boilers. Assuming a steady speed of 14 knots, these boilers will consume 154 gallons or 700 litres of low sulphur medium fuel oil every hour, making the Waverley slightly more expensive than the average family car to run. The original Severn Bridge, that was opened in 1966 by Queen Elizabeth II, took 3.5 years to build. It's 1.6 kilometres long, 136 metres high, and its longest span is 988 metres. When the bridge was being built, the cables supporting the bridge deck were spun from 18,000 miles or 29,000 kilometres of wire. The decks of the bridge are made up of many sections, each weighing 132 tons. In construction, each of these was floated down the Bristol Channel on a ferry and then lifted into place. It's very well known that the tidal range in the Bristol Channel is the second largest in the world, and as we approach the pier at Penarth, we can see just how much it has dropped since we left Clevedon. Towards the end of our trip, we realised that we'd had the pleasure of sharing this cruise with the great actor Timothy West and his wife Prunella Scales. They are both patrons of the Paddle Steamer Preservation Society, as well as once being very, very keen narrowboaters, and an inspiration to Pip and I before we began our odyssey. When we left Clevedon, I pointed out that in order to board the Waverley, we only had to drop one level below the pier. The significant change in the tide, however, means that we're disembarking at a much lower level. The drop in tide may mean that there are a few more steps to climb, but it does give us some views of the pier that we otherwise wouldn't get.